Okay, so everybody, I want to thank you very much. This is Stephen Valenti, and I wanted to thank everyone for their time on coming to our first must-see from FMV webinar. And the thought was we'd put together a few manufacturers and do some quick hits on their technology. We hope the timing of this is appropriate for the products that we've selected, with so many businesses looking to reopen safely out of the shutdown that we've all had across certainly the Northeast here and other parts of the country as well. So we chose 3-4 products that make sense with the openings that's going on, and also all of the remote webinar / Zoom meetings and Skype for business and team meetings and everything else. So we're trying to show a splash of products that we have that FM Valenti represents. Obviously, the goal here is, in a short time, make sure our dealer base, our customer base, our friends that are architects, engineers, and end users that we've been working with are aware of the technology. And then obviously we can follow up with further presentations, webinars in more detail. A lot of our manufacturers are starting to get into scheduled webinars, but this was a way to kind of give a quick hit and make sure everybody's aware that these exist, and that we can take a deeper dive at a later time, kind of a wet the whistle application here. So, obviously FM Valenti we cover for the entire Northeast, from Maine all the way down through New Jersey, including the 6 New England states, New York, New Jersey. We have personnel that can help you both on the AV side and the security side. I want to invite you, obviously, as time permits and when the government permits, to have you come up to the PVD office, where we have 3 demo rooms where we can show video wall technology, sit-stand technology from Winstead, as well as Philips video walls. We have several of them here. We can show the thick bezel versus thin bezel, and the RGB processing technology. And this is a room, these are several rooms that have been set up for our dealer base to use as demonstration tools. We can do them remotely as well. We did set up a very large camera system with Hanwha's help, and that allows us to remote in. But we want to make sure you guys, an in-person demo quite often with a small group is very effective at helping a client or an engineer design the video wall rooms, very, very effectively. We also do trainings and stuff, so look for us on our LinkedIn page, as well as on our website. We have a events page that we share out all the events, such as the one today. So if you follow us on LinkedIn or follow us on our webpage, you should be aware of new products and new things that are being introduced. Now, with that being said, I'm going to introduce Jack Boychek, who's going to be our first speaker. Jack is the business development manager for Philips Digital Signage Group, and he's going to be showing us a very interesting product that they've just released that does people counting. So it allows you to look at the stores and see how many people are in that particular store if you're a patron, and tell at a very quick glance if there's, according to local codes and jurisdictions, whether there's enough room for you to enter that store at this point in time safely. Jack, I'd like to introduce have you introduce your product line. That'd be great.
Great, thanks, Steve. Appreciate the intro. So Philips has developed a very timely product. It's all developed very, very rapidly. So stores are already restricting the number of people that can be in the store at any given time. So we have a solution that we developed that monitors the number of people entering and leaving a store. And we use one of our displays to tell people when it's safe to enter the store. So now a retailer does not have to have staff dedicated to monitoring how many people are in the door and using people counters by hand or things like that. So we've partnered up with Bosch. We're working with them using their people counting camera to communicate the people count to our display, and then to display the traffic light system to tell people when it's safe to enter. This is all possible because we've utilized Android-based displays. So it's like a media player that's baked into the display at the board level. And it's the most powerful SoC solution on the market. But because it's Android and open operating system, we were able to develop a solution for people counting in just a couple of days, and then get it out to market. And we've already got deployments over in Europe. So again, this helps businesses limit the total number of people in store. It uses an LCD display as a traffic light system, and you can also add promotional or safety messaging to a portion of the screen. So the topology is pretty simple. You can attach all of the components to your existing network, or you can run it standalone. So some retailers or big enterprise have restrictions and all sorts of things that get in the way of deploying technology quickly. So deploying standalone is a really simple way to do this. You do not need to be hooked up to any network at all. You just need a standalone network to run this particular solution. And this works for a single door or multiple doors. And I forget what the exact count is. I think it's up to 80 displays or something like that, or cameras that are supported. So far, far more than you'll ever need. So the components of the solution, and also anybody that's not speaking, if you could go on mute, that'd be great. I've got some background feedback coming through here. So the solution components, an Android-enabled Philips display. We've got the full list there. We start with our prosumer-based displays, and we move into our commercial displays, which are the 4051 and the 4150. And then we've got a super high bright that can go in a store window that's sunlight readable. And then for people on a budget, we've got a 10-inch or a 24-inch touchscreen that'll work as well. And these all marry up with one of the Bosch cameras that you can see here. You need a USB stick in the display, a router with PoE capability, so either a plain Jane router with a PoE injector or a more expensive PoE router would work fine, and then some way to mount the display. So I wanted to give you an idea of the cost of the solution. So for a simple single door solution at an end user location, I'm estimating it's about $23.50 retail, or street price, I should say, for the solution. So this would be a Bosch camera, a 49-inch display, one of Bosch's entry-level camera, a router, and a rolling cart from TripLight. Assuming about 3 hours for setup the first time. After that, I think it could get down to about 2.5 hours. So pretty simple solution to deploy. The two different families of Bosch cameras we deal with are the EVA and the IVA. So on the left, the EVA is their essential video analytics. The 3000i series is the entry point. Again, you'll find the cameras to be pretty economical, just over $200 for a end user. And then on the right-hand side, the intelligent video analytics, we've got 2 series available from Bosch that are supported. The intelligent videos analytics is going to give you higher rates of true reading of people counting versus the EVA. And when you're developing the solution, there's a couple templates you can choose from. We call them the 50-50 and the 100. So the 50-50, as you can see, we're taking half of the display for promotional or safety messaging, and then the other half of the display is used for the stop go. signal to the end user. And then the 100 uses, basically both of these are full screen images, the promotional messaging, but we just leave a transparent region where the traffic light goes. So that's an overlay that goes on top of it. And the Philips authorized distributors are Stampede, Blue Star, Signage, ADI, and Tech Data. And those distributors that carry Bosch are ADI, Signage, and Tech Data. And that is everything I had. That was my quick intro to the product. I can tell everybody that we've got a ton of interest in this product coming from all sorts of types of businesses and all different sizes, because restricting the number of people in a store is a real thing now, and I don't see it ending in the near term. So I was talking to somebody in charge of a trade association, a retail trade association yesterday, and that person told me that they want to provide the retailers want to provide their customers a sense of safety. So solutions like this that are economical in nature can go a long way to easing people's minds. So if you got any questions, I'd love to address those now.
I think anybody would have to unmute themselves, or you can type it into the chat and I can read it off to Jack.
Jack, would you be willing to stick around for the rest of the call, and then we'll do any questions that come up at the end of the call too?
I will do my best. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Jack, for helping us out with this, and we're gonna go ahead and take over presenting the screen here.
Let me go ahead and ask. There were two questions that came up. Will this only work with Bosch, People Counter? Would other manufacturers work too? Why do you need a router? Can I use a PoE switch? Those are two questions, Jack, that were posed.
Yeah, PoE switch is fine. Today, we only work with Bosch. We are in talks with another camera manufacturer who is working now to update their firmware to work with our solution.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Jack.
Yep.
Super. All right. Well, I think there's a lot of opportunity to, as people are going back to work, to take a peek at that technology. And obviously, what I wanted to show is our web page here that has contact us. All of our salespeople are available to help out. And their cell phones are right here, as well as their email. So please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll be happy to get you more details on the Philips line there and their offering of complete digital signage products, including some of the new exciting Medio product they're doing with room reservation solutions, as well as other partnerships they have with digital signage engine providers that are either hosted or on premise. So thank you, Jack, for bringing that up. All right, so next what I'd like to do is turn the page, and well, again, remember, everybody, please mute yourself. We are going to have the same webinar for any of your personnel that couldn't make it today. We're going to have the exact same webinar next Wednesday, the 27th. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jana Rankin from Vuteur. And Jana's going to take over the screen here and basically present a very unique technology, which is the Vuteur emergency management platform that they've added a new module into, which is a hosted solution, but can track and keep make people aware of everything that's going on with their cell phones by tracking people. In other words, well, I'll let her explain it better, but bottom line is the system was originally set up as a emergency management system for tracking phones in schools and knowing who is coming and going from the schools, but it's now branched out into hospitals. It's branched out into public transit applications, and now there's a big push in retail who needs to keep track of how many people are in the store, who's in the store, and who's been in the store in the past, and then relate that to video. So there's a very powerful business model that she shared with you called Vuteur, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, Steve. Basically, Vuteur is a security platform, and what we do is we track cellular devices, asset tracking tags, and laptops or smart tablets within a facility. And the system leverages the existing Wi-Fi infrastructure and the access points. So think about a phone as it's offloading from a cell tower to a building's Wi-Fi. It's putting out a probe and it's going, can I connect? And as that probe goes out, Vuteur's able to identify that probe, pick up that data packet, encrypt it up in the cloud, give it a Vuteur ID. And so simply just someone walking into a building with a phone, we're able to first detect presence. And then as that device moves from access point to access point, we're able to trilaterate the movements. So within the Vuteur system, you're truly able to create a digital footprint of where that person has journeyed. And if you're looking at the map, you can see this is a hospital. It's a Yale University hospital. And I've clicked on one of the orange. Orange in our system, it just means it's an unknown device. Through an Active Directory integration, or there's many other types of integrations, you can pull in your employees or the individuals that are known on campus. And then when they register with their unique credentials, we're able to tie their personal information to the phone's information. And that's a one-time registration, and we're able to detect where they go. Also, if you have visitors, when you're looking at the neon, this is a visitor that is on at the hospital site now. They have registered through a splash page, so no different than like Starbucks. We create a custom guest Wi-Fi, bring up a unique splash page, person enters first name, last name, phone number, and then you can even get even more granular. Is this a vendor on site? What type of visitor is it? And as you can see that this is all in real time. So you can see the bottom of the screen, the data is refreshing about every 8 to 15 seconds. And so we're able to identify where people go. And so as this COVID virus unfolded and there was the need to contact trace, we realized that in the back of our database, we had all the information. And then how do we serve it up to the end user so that instead of trying to piece together somebody's journey and who they came in contact with, we could create seamless reporting. And so I'll show you, this is just really a visual with the names on the side, but this is a true digital footprint. And if it's an enterprise account or a multi building, we can tell you where they journeyed, what building they were in. And then if you can think about the radius around his steps, right? So 3 meters, we can write rules of when another cell device enters that area. And then just within seconds, pull your report. So let's say someone was on campus, they did not register their phone, but they call back into your client and they say, you know what, I was at your site on this day and time, and I have tested positive for COVID. Well, at that point, the end user can request the user's MAC address. So with this, you just simply enter the MAC address or the name if they're registered, choose your date range, choose your time range. So the minimum time that we'll allow is 3 minutes. That just gives time for that phone to ping that network. But the maximum, we can go up to 15 minutes. And some of the different end users that we've been talking to are only going to report contact tracing if they've been in contact for 10 minutes or more. We're going to give the end user that the ability to create that as a custom feature. So think about simply clicking search. We're gonna populate the individuals that came in contact. Within the Vuteur system, you're going to have the ability to send an email or a text message out right from the system to the individuals. And then how do you document this? Are we going to have one reporting of contact tracing, or are you going to have numerous ones? Well, within Vuteur, you have incident management. And so I'm just going to go into this open one that I created earlier. So within the system, we're going to create you a timeline. You're going to know who ran the report, who reported out, who did we alert, and then is there a time frame, say in 7 days, we need to follow up with these individuals. So no different than in our war room, where if it were a fire on campus, you can take the same application, and I'll take it to the medical. So this is every message that has gone out, every message coming in. This would be the internal team that would discuss how people are going to be contacted. And then this would be your queue. You can just put team members in the queue to join to respond to the individuals. And then once again, your broadcast feature. This broadcast feature would create a unique group. You would click on that group, and now you can message back out to that specific group that was in contact with that person. Any questions about what you've seen?
Jana, do you want to touch on some of the retail applications that you've also been able to jump into recently? Obviously without exposing the customer names, because there's a mixed variety of people here, but, oh.
Yep, too late. Don't look. So for visitor density, we can, by hour, we can let you know how many people are in the facility. And specifically when you're talking about retailers that have thousands of locations, and then being able to create reports, do you push that to one of the regional managers so they can try to get a grip on the number of people that are being allowed in the store before it gets out of control? So with Vuteur, if you can think about the platform, it's so robust that there are each client can almost customize specific features of the system. And then with this application, of course, if you have a like an enterprise account, we can add all the stores, and then we can push reporting alerts of COVID if you have too many for social distancing. But not only that, it works great for loss prevention. So think about armed robbery, think about organized retail crime, being able to use the system, yes, for today's emergency, but even more, hopefully we have a vaccine before the end of the year. Then did that client spend their dollars wisely? And with Vuteur, we think we have the ability to say, we can meet your immediate needs, but then we're going to be a platform that you're going to use daily in the future as well.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that using the existing infrastructure, there's really no infrastructure cost to implement the product. It's really a hosted cloud solution. And Jana touched on it, but I think one of the most fascinating points of this product is, think of she mentioned the gang-related instances where they're going into high-end liquor stores and distracting the clerks, but or in bank robberies, they're going in there with masks. Well, maybe they didn't catch a good picture of the person with the mask on, but if they came in the day before or even the week before, and they had the same cell phone on them, we can then now relate that to the video and see what other people were with them. So we get pictures and images of people casing the joint and everything else, and can tie that right into, as evidence against them if we want to incriminate.
Yeah, and to touch on that even a step further, so if what we're learning in organized retail crime is they case the location first. And in fact, one of our clients had someone that actually looked up on Google Maps and drove to the 7 locations he robbed. So if they're casing before and then they cover their face when they commit the crime, within Vuteur with a search event, you can go back in time and look at how was that person in the store at any other time. So what that does is make your video management so much more important, because instead of sitting and trying to watch hours of time, we're going to tell you, okay, this MAC address that was in the store when the crime was committed, we have seen it 2 other times at this location or maybe some of your other locations. And now you've got timestamps to truly be able to expedite and solve some of these crimes.
And not only that, unfortunately, criminals tend to be creatures of nature or habit, and they'll go from one location and hit another location within hours sometimes. And your real-time alerting could even alert the police as well as, the administration of the stores that person is now present about to commit a crime at another location. So real-time warning, real-time event management, relating it to past time video is kind of critical things that Vuteur can bring to the table here. Sean, do you want to read off the question?
Yeah, I was just saying, Jana, there's one question that came through here. Is the system modular? Are all features available?
It's modular, and it's also built in tiers. So the clients on the left-hand side can pick and choose the features they want to use, but then it's also built in tiers where maybe just certain individuals can use the emergency feature and the messaging, and think about a really small subset of individuals that could actually view the live maps or run the reports, or maybe even convert the MAC address, or the Vuteur ID back into the MAC address. We can really customize for each user to fit their specific needs.
Yeah, and other things that we've already been doing for a while there is we've been doing tracking of assets, using Vuteur to track assets inside of coal mines, so we can tell personnel are safely being exited before any explosives go off. We've been doing it in hospitals where we've been able to track people and assets, meaning ventilators or heart pumps, all this critical dialysis machines. We can put tagging on those machines, and using the existing Wi-Fi infrastructure inside of the facility, be able to track anything and everything, and at a moment's notice find or communicate out to that whole population. It's think of it like bi-directional communications and asset tracking all in one cloud solution.
Right, and since we're hardware agnostic, and that's Wi-Fi hardware, but it's also these asset tags. So in a lot of the clients we're selling today, they're pharmaceutical companies. They've already made the large purchase for the asset tags, and for Vuteur to be able to take that purchase and be able to leverage it onto our platform is a real benefit when you're selling.
Jana, there's one other question here that came in. If the person is a random or a one-time visitor, otherwise an unknown, does it grab the MAC address, or is there any other quote-unquote fingerprints that are grabbed?
That's a great question. So iOS does produce randoms. We have the ability to tell a random from an authentic. We also know that if the iOS device recognizes a friendly network, it will broadcast it's authentic. But then to take it a step further for retail, what we've built, and we have an outpost, it's really just a glorified access point. But we've built our own fingerprint technology, because within the data packet that we're receiving, even though that random is being broadcast out, there are specific data within that device's hardware that does not change. And so we're able to build what we call a digital footprint. It's specific to Vuteur, but the limitation on that is that we can only track that person for about 12 to 24 hours on our footprint. But if it's producing its true MAC, then it's a one and done. You register them one time, and until they change their phone out, we've got them.
Thank you.
Super. Okay. All right. Next up, we're going to basically allow for any more questions that come in. We'll try to address them at the end of the webinar at the top of the hour. Right now, we've got to move on to ZKTeco. ZKTeco is a manufacturer we've repped for about 5 or 6 years now. and have seen tremendous growth over the last 3 to 4. And in the last, I don't know, 3 months, we've had a tremendous amount of interest in their first introduction of the SpeedFace Plus. But note that we have several different solutions that include body temperature measurements. So Mike Brown, who's our regional sales manager, is going to touch on the product family line. But know that it extends beyond just the body temperature stuff. They make turnstiles so they can help you corral people into the proper areas. We also have metal detectors with body temperature on it. We have quite a bit of other solutions that we can bring to table here. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Michael Brown, our regional manager for ZKTeco.
Thank you, Steve, for that introduction. And let me get my PowerPoint pulled up here. Again, thank you for the introduction. My name is Mike Brown, Eastern Regional Manager for ZKTeco USA. And I'm excited to introduce our new series of SpeedFace solutions, which include infrared and visible light face recognition. Virtually impossible to cover in a 15-minute span. However, we do webinars, and I'm going to include some information at the end of this mini presentation to where you can reach out to myself, other staff, or even attend a full 60-minute webinar on the product. So what is the SpeedFace unit? The SpeedFace unit, our award-winning SF1008-WP, the predecessor, is an award-winning product. We have added the thermal sensor to both the 8-inch and the 5-inch version, which now allow to detect body temperature and N95 surgical mask detection. Okay. That was our industry award winner in 2019. Now we have added the thermal sensor to it. As you can see, the weatherproof version allows this individual to go through touchless. Now we've added body temperature and mask detection to this unit, which has opened up a new avenue for us. I would like you to look at this very brief presentation that kind of explains a little bit more about what we'll be discussing. So basically, the SpeedFace Plus units help detect an unacceptable level of body temperature. It does this via the forehead and tear duct in the eye. So basically, as a standalone access control device, you are able to program or allow who comes in, who does not come in based on certain criteria. The model SF1008, as you can see, the specs on it supports up to 50,000 faces, 5,000 palms, which again, this is a touchless device. So we can detect with or without mask. You can also see it has TCP/IP, WIGN in, out, RS-485. The optional Wi-Fi is now standard, so the units do come with Wi-Fi. The visible light technology and the speed and accuracy averages less than a second depending on settings. Our 5-inch version supports up to 6,000 faces, 10,000 fingerprints, which is a feature that the 8-inch does not. The 5-inch does include a fingerprint. Other than that, most of the specs are the same, other than storage capabilities. We also have mounting options for the units, from extendable poles to pivoting wall mount product based on your application. Keeping in mind, these units are not weather rated. These are for indoor use only. Once we added the thermal sensor to the unit, it negated any weather rating that the previous predecessor had. The following, I'm going to show you a couple of slides from the software, the optional software, just to make very clear. You can use this as a standalone device, or you can run it back to our biosecurity software. What you're seeing is real-time monitoring as guests and people come into your facility. Registered guests, you can see if they met the criteria, what department they came in, etc. You can also make all of your adjustments based on temperature thresholds, enable your mass detection, allow unregistered people to access. There are a lot of features here that you can do at the unit as a standalone, or you can push them back to the software to have the software take care of it for you. Your body temperature threshold is a setting. 100.4 is considered what the industry considers a fever that is adjustable. And this slide shows your event time, area, device name, which you can adjust to front entry, rear entry, event point, ID number. So it's just like any traditional access control software platform, only with the addition of your body temperature detection and the monitoring thereof. Your employees via department name, number of times they made an attempt to come in, and their body temperature at that time. So, using these types of products, we get this question answered frequently. I probably get it 5, 6, 7 times a day. Using touchless technology like biometrics, whether you're presenting a thumb, a face, a palm, whatever type of biometric that you are presenting, are there privacy concerns? No, because we are not storing your data in that format. These units are not surveillance devices. These units are detection devices. So basically, if you would store, that is going to be totally up to the customer to store that data themselves, which there is a Privacy Act that they would have to agree to within the unit to do so. This is my contact information. Again, we have a complete 1 hour open format presentation that we're doing twice a week that goes into a more explicit detail of the software. It goes into more detail of the usage. Keeping in mind, you can use these products as standalone, or you can run them back to our software platform. Most of the units we're selling now are being deployed for body temperature detection only. As an access control unit, you have the capabilities of limiting traffic or allowing traffic flow. That's based on the end user. So just and I'm trying to run through this rather quickly because I know there's probably going to be questions. This technology is surging, and with reopening businesses being on the forefront of everyone's mind, now we are being very inundated. That's why we have conducted these long, well, I say long, 45-minute to an hour webinars, and we're doing them several times a week. So what I'd like to do now is maybe, and there's always questions, so I'd like to see if there are any questions that we can answer at this time.
Yeah, Mike, there are two questions that came in from here so far. The first one is, what is the temperature tolerance in Fahrenheit, and does it have any sort of accuracy outdoors?
There is no accuracy outdoor. Once you add the thermal detector on it, the thermal sensor, that negates the weather rating outdoor. Okay, there is a temperature deviation that you can set via the software or the unit itself. For example, if you come in early in the morning when it's still cool and crisp outside, you need a temperature deviation correction, so to speak, kind of like a black body for a thermal camera that adjusts or monitors room temperature internally. This has that same technology built in that you can make that adjustment. But as far as being an outdoor rated unit, not at this time. I'm unaware of any units that are outdoor rated like that. Now, understand, I want to make something very plain. There's a lot of surge with these types of solutions now and these types of products. There are thermal cameras with the aforementioned black body units, which basically consistently calibrate room temperature and make adjustments as such. These are multi-$1,000 solutions. We're finding that, and at least over the last 6 weeks, that the literally thousands and thousands of pieces that we're deploying, people are concerned about reopening their business. They're concerned about coming in. Are you coming into my health club with an elevated body temperature? I want to know that. I want to limit you from coming into my facility. We're deploying these in institutions, government facilities, the private sector. So that being said, 90% of the requests that are made from us are just to detect an elevated body temperature. Keep in mind, this is an access control terminal, so you're getting more bang for the buck by able to limit access, deny, meet certain criteria. We can put CDC guidelines in there where you have to do a questionnaire prior to being allowed into a facility. We do other customizations on the unit as such. So, but 90% are wanting it just to keep their facility safe and keep people with elevated temperature out of their facility. So, you don't have to spend $35,000-$40,000 for this solution.
And Mike, to correct me if I'm wrong, but to go along with that, one of the questions is this an FDA 501k cleared product? And I think the answer to that is no, it is not, because we're not going after that, correct?
That is absolutely correct. We do not need to be FDA compliant nor HIPAA compliant because we are not a recording, a reviewing device. We are a detection device. So we're basically detecting. What happens after the detection is up to the customer, up to the end user. Okay.
Yeah, and then the additional two questions that kind of go along with what you were talking about is, does it integrate with Active Directory or using other access control systems? And then also, what is the lead time and rough MSRP on the unit?
Rough MSRP is, hang on. $3,100 for the 5-inch, $3,700 for the 8-inch version with the temperature detection unit. That's MSRP. And so obviously you can see if you've done any investigation on trying to provide a solution of this nature, this is a much more cost-effective solution when, again, if your customer is looking for that body temperature solution. The other question, Sean, was what?
Yeah. Well, what's the lead time right now? And the answer to that is they are in stock, but they are coming and going very quickly. So we are at any point in about a 2-week window, either stock or about 2 weeks out, and they are available through the distribution channel. So some of the distributors should have them in stock as well. I'll answer that one. And then the other question is, does it integrate with Active Directory using any other access?
Yes, and it does have Wiegand in and Wiegand out, so it will work not only via our software and our Pro Series platform, but it will. We have partnered with Genetec, Linnell, and AMAG, and they're always open for any SDK involvement. But as far as working with a third party, because it does have Wiegand, yes, it does. I would be happy to discuss that in further with anyone who wants to contact me. Again, let me put my information back up there, and I can get back.
Well, hold on. I took over.
Oh, there it is.
What I wanted to do is make sure that everybody saw that ZK doesn't just make this one product. I've shown they have metal detectors that have thermal detection built into it. So we've got people that are looking at those and buying those. They have a visitor management software will allow you to integrate in capturing the face, sending an email off a cell phone to a visitor, letting those people in based on there. So it's kind of a touchless access control and visitor management system. And then we also have these kiosks that we can build for the lobbies that have the thermal temperature as well as the visitor management as well. So there's a whole suite of products, from physically limiting who can get in and out of areas with very cost-effective turnstiles, all the way through the software and management platform. And as Mike said, it can integrate with just about anything that's already existing because it does have the Wiegand input and output. It can also act like a standalone device. Could even be Wi-Fi now. They just added that. And then the one thing that I've had a lot of people looking at other products or solutions in the AV space or other spaces. The nice thing about this product, it also can limit people and recognize outsiders and be a go or no go using mask detection. So some rules are being set up in facilities for you must wear a mask in order to enter this facility. So it could be just simply that, or it could be based on heat and body temperature, or it could be based on someone presenting a card access solution and then it recognizing the face, the temperature, and does the person have a mask, or any 3 combinations of those. So it's a very powerful product in terms of flexibility, and you can buy it now, put it in place as a temporary solution, and then integrate it into the whole customer's workflow. So the SpeedFace Plus is I think a critical product right now, and it's definitely been keeping us very busy.
Yes, it has. And I invite everyone to go to ZKTecoUSA.com for more information. Again, my information is on the screen. You're welcome to reach out to me or Team FMV. Always glad to answer the questions for you. We can do webinars and conference calls on any of our products. As mentioned, with the body temperature sensor is being deployed in our walk-through metal detectors now. So, and again, the N95 surgical mask application for food processing plants. I mean, if you're processing my food and it's mandatory that you wear a mask before you go and cut up my chicken or my beef, as your employer, I want to make sure that you are following proper protocol. So, lot of options, as mentioned, a lot of options.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you sharing that all with us.
Thank you. I appreciate your time today.
So next up, we've got another twist in all of this, pandemic workplace area. We've decided to take one of our AV lines called Reach. And before I go into that product line, I just want to mention here on our website, we're constantly updating any new events, training classes that are going on from any of our manufacturers. So please check our events and training as well as our LinkedIn page. So now without further ado, I'm going to bring up the information on the Reach product line. And then what my plan is to show you the product actually in action as well. So first I'll give you a quick rundown of the B3. This is one of about 7 different products that Reach has brought into the US for distance learning, IP streaming. And the reason why we're focusing on this product at this seminar is that it actually, they just newly integrated it into working with Zoom, Teams, Google Meets, like I'll show you today, and have the ability to have this product tie in to your existing workflow, but give you a more professional looking presentation product. Simply put, I can take any signals, any content, record it locally from analog HDMI cameras and laptops, or even now IP cameras. And then we can also take that product and have it work and flow with your existing YouTube, Facebook Live, any WebEx, Skype, Teams, Zoom, any of that. So we can not only record this signal coming in from several sources and give you a very professional looking output going to those other signals, okay? And then record it locally on the device itself so you can edit it later on or do anything you want with it or keep the content profiled locally. It's got a built-in touchscreen which allows you to manage it, stop recording, stop streaming, and kind of gives you an easy interface. We've just recently introduced new firmware that you can buy for an additional cost that will bump the unit up from 1080p and opens up the chipset to do 4K signals. So not only the B3 has been introduced over a year ago, actually, but the B3 Plus was new firmware that introduced the ability to capture IP cameras. And then now with the new 4K feature, we can upgrade units that are existing out there or sell you units that are preloaded with the 4K option, okay? Pan and tilt control. We've also added in the ability to do PTZ control. So that way, if you're doing a presentation of any sort of education application, you can simply, with a touchscreen, go in and manage the PTZ and set up presets and display layouts, which I'll show you in a minute. Lastly, this is what I was talking about before, the ability to feed this into other systems, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, any of those type of things. We can do that, Wowza, or even into Zoom and all those other solutions. Got several different control options. So again, the idea here is the workplace is changing. People are using Zoom, people are using Google Meets, they're using all sorts of platforms. And the reason why we chose to put this product line in the mix of today's presentation is that after 3 months or 2 months of using Zoom with a laptop camera and everything else, a lot of people, especially in the education and professional training space, corporate trainers and whatnot, are realizing that doing it with just a regular laptop camera is probably not a great solution, and that they want to figure a better way to create professional looking videos and professional looking presentations as their training audiences like yourself today. So in this case, what I've got hooked up here today is a B3 that's going into, and I could stream this out right now live to Facebook. I wanted to include 10,000 other people if they were interested. We have a web interface that we can control the device with. We have the touchscreen interface on the unit itself. And you can even move the files to some other sort of storage. But with the inclusion of the CC11 product, I can now take and pump this as a stream back into my existing platform, so my Zoom. So today, if I go over here, and I should be able to start presenting my content. Let me get back over to here. And I'm going to use myself now as a presenter mode. And you'll notice here, I'm actually taking a B3 and I'm now controlling a different camera angle. So I've got a local camera, not my laptop camera, which I can pick up a much larger space, and that could be at the front of a classroom or the back of a classroom. I could even focus in on certain products and show the touchscreen interface of a product here. So I go over to hit touchscreen 2, and now I could go in and change the inputs if I want to select different layouts of the screen. I can do all that during a presentation with a simple touchscreen interface. I can also go in and pull up full screen, either one of my views. So I can go back and forth and toggle between them, okay? I also have the ability to go in here and control a PTZ. Or go in and even demonstrate another product. So you can see there, this is the actual speed face, not the plus version. There is no thermal camera here, but again, using the B3 and using this workflow, I'm actually integrating this into my local product, my presentation. If I wanted to call up another product and show how the wireless Bluetooth phoneme works, I could do that very simply and demonstrate how the microphone noise canceling works. And you'll see as I turn this around, the noise is following me. So the product of the B3 allows me to manipulate my scene, allows me to go back and forth and fluidly change what I'm showing to the audience, okay? And if I want to bring it back to just an image of myself talking to the group, I can do that right here. So this is kind of the newest product in the Reach line. Reach also has products that do auto tracking and auto switching. They use a smart switch technology. We have a room here that is dedicated for showing that technology as well, where we can have a lecturer get up and speak. So think of the classroom of the future. If there's a snow day, they can have the kids stay home, but the teacher may want to go into the classroom and actually work and do their full presentation in a very natural environment. Using the B9, they could do that as well and have it be fully automated, switching between camera scenes based on auto tracking and presentation forwarding of your PowerPoint and whatnot. So the whole Reach line kind of offers an opportunity to basically professionalize your Zoom meetings, your training meetings, your educational experience, and your recordings. We've had applications for church, house of worship, We've had applications for adding in new solutions for down in the South Park and Pray, where we're streaming out of the houses of worship to the parking lots, live streams with hundreds of people in their cars, being able to watch what's going on. So there's a lot that we can do with the whole Reach line. And we'd love to be able to show you more details on how this product line can help you and your customers. And more importantly, your customers are trying to get back to work and figure out ways to communicate effectively. We got a call yesterday from a person who is in the sales of, or the manufacturing of women's shoes. And they wanted to be able to have several camera angles because all of the downtown Manhattan showrooms are shut down. So they need to create videos that are professional looking, that they want to be able to hold up content or product and have several camera angles and be able to manage it right from the actual user interface. So that's the Reach line in a nutshell. Again, we can record, we can stream, and we can capture all this and make it look professional for you.
Steve, there was one question that came up about what PTZ camera are you using?
Right now I'm using one of the Reach 1080p cameras. It's called the HD20N, but it will work and we can control a variety of different PTZs. We do request on the auto tracking, auto switching software that you might use our PTZs exclusively, and the reason why is we've had it all calibrated for the tracking scenario. So I'm going to show you here a quick video of the B9 auto tracking, auto switching, and then we'll wrap it up. And if you go to the Reach website, there's a lot of demo resources that are available right here. And I can go and use our media center, which is a content management platform, as well as just click on right here, B9 video.
And then Steve, while that's, sorry, go ahead. I was just saying, while that's queuing up, if you could also address what is the cost of the B3 unit and possibly the camera. Do you have costs in mind?
Yep. Yeah. So, the B3 is decidedly priced with the non-4K version just under the Extron piece, so it's around $3,100 list. And then with the we can go to 4K with an $800 uplift on the product, or as a firmware download after the fact. So we've actually added that on purpose to keep ourselves very competitive for those small boardrooms and conference rooms. The cameras, they range from, a fixed camera with HDMI output to PTZ cameras. The one I'm using here, I think, is about $1,500 roughly. And then we have our 4K high-end unit that's got HD base T. It's got that's our HDN30-3. That's got HD base T as well as HD SDI, as well as IP, all built into one camera. What I'm showing here is, if you noticed on the video, there's actually myself speaking in our boardroom here, our training room, and if I move around, it automatically switches and auto tracks, but it's a very clean cut. You don't see the auto tracking camera move at all. So, but if I pause for 3 seconds or more, it does a clean break or cut, just like in the broadcast marketplace. You never see the the cameraman swing from the anchor to the weatherman. There's a producer involved who tells them when to switch cameras and all that. The B9 itself does all that automatically. So that's called our smart switching technology, and that allows for switching between, a stage view of the stage area, a zoomed in tracking camera of any given area. There's no presets you have to set up, to a PowerPoint input, or even a audience input. So it can switch automatically between all those different inputs without any user interface. It does record all of them at the same time, so it's got basically 5 encoders built into the box. So if you ever needed to go back and edit something or change something or whatever, you have the original file bins of each individual input as well. And then the B9 Plus that we just introduces IP cameras into that as well. So here we just showed the PowerPoint popping up full screen. That's done just by me touching the PowerPoint. I didn't have to integrate anything. I just advanced the PowerPoint 1 slide and it'll switch back over. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The Reach line has been very exciting. We've had a lot of educators from K through 12 now, which frankly, our core market had been healthcare and higher ed, but now with the new use of Google Classrooms and Zoom and all that, we've had quite a bit of interest at the K through 12 level, which we didn't expect. And that's why we introduced the B3. And we are also about to introduce a single channel encoder as well for kind of very low end, simple to deploy applications. Look for that coming out at the end of the month or really beginning of June. All right, we were supposed to introduce that at Infocom, but obviously we'll just do a soft splash with that on the web. Thank you very much. I really want to thank everybody for attending the whole event. I hope you found it was interesting. And you know, we look forward to helping you. Please contact anyone here at FM Valenti. And I want to thank, you know, Jana, Jack, and Michael for, you know, spending your time. With that, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we will be able to go ahead and answer if there's any more chat questions that are out there, and people could hang on a little bit longer.
All right, before we do that, the one thing I did want to say is if you found this useful, please remember we are going to be duplicating this next Wednesday at 11 a.m. on the 27th. So if you have any coworkers or other people you might find of interest, please refer them back to this. Steve, there are no other questions in the chat. So I think at this point, if anybody has any verbal questions, go ahead and unmute and you can ask it. Otherwise, we will go ahead and say goodbye. Stay healthy, stay safe.